Because whatever you've been doing before, that didn't work. So let's flip the script, let's change it up and do like these young brothers are doing and try to start achieving in a different manner. Whatever they did before, and I don't even care what they did before. All I want to know is if you're ready to change.
What's happening, man? This Mujahid and my partner Fortune right here. We got Chico Bean. We just did 2 shows tonight in Jacksonville, Florida, Duval County. You know, he did his thing. We got a lot of little positive stuff we trying to do. You know, show people better ways to get out here, make it, especially if they done came from the struggle and overcame the struggle. Just real quick, Chico, that's a man that done overcame the struggle and done been through the struggle. And that's one thing I can respect, one thing I can relate to. Just real quick, not to take up too much of your time, being that you have came from the struggle and you understand what it's like and you overcame it in a sense, like what was your point where you knew, okay, like something gotta shake no matter what, you formulated a plan and made it happen.
Uh, for me, it was in 2002. My uncle got murdered. My uncle Reggie, who was like my father, got killed when I was 2, but this was like the closest thing I ever had to a father in my life, and he was killed in 2002. And I was, I've always been blessed to be good at what I did, so I was, outside to say the least, not to put too much emphasis on what was going on, but when he got killed, it scared me. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that I think a lot of us don't know how to deal with is that fear. We try to mask that fear with aggression and mask the fear with everything but, addressing the fear. And I didn't have a choice but to deal with the fear because he was like a Superman to me. And I didn't think nothing could happen to him, especially in the manner in which it happened to him. So, when he got murdered, I'll never forget, I watched him pass away. I saw him take him off the life support. And I was leaving the hospital and I was going through every emotion you can go through at that time. I was mad, angry, sad, frustrated, I mean, everything. Afraid, all that. And I got outside of the hospital, Howard University Hospital in D.C., and everything was still moving. Everybody, I'll see you later. Don't park right there. Don't do this, don't do that. And that let me know that, my world was crushed. Everything in my world was crushed, but the world was still moving. So I knew at that point I'm responsible for my world. The world is going to spin whether or not I'm on it or not. My world is my responsibility. So I knew from that point on I was responsible for making my world something that, was worth being a part of and not going out like somebody I loved as much as I loved him.
So once you realized that, and what made you determine that comedy was gonna be your way to get up out of that?
I didn't know. I went the college route first. You know what I mean? I took some money after that I had and paid for me and my man to go on a college tour. We went to all the HBCUs from DC to Florida. And I decided to go to school, because I was the only person in my family that ever go to college and all that. So I did that. And when I graduated, I've always been a hustler. I've been working since I was 9 years old, making my own money. So when I went to get a job and they told me I was going to be making $6 an hour part time, I was like, nah. If I'm going to be poor and struggling, I'd much rather be poor and struggling, building my own legacy than helping somebody else build theirs and hoping they recognize my hard work. So I went home and, excuse my bad, let me turn this ring on. I went home and I had never been to my father's gravesite before. So I went to my father's gravesite. Make a long story short, they took him to where he was buried at, and he ain't had no headstone. So I was like, damn, you know what I mean? Whatever he had done in his life up until that point, he hadn't done enough to garner a marker to let the world know that he was here, nor did anybody around him have the means to do it as well. So I was like, I can't go out like a patch of grass. Like I got to be more than that. You know what I'm saying? And I went home to my mother, who was a different type of lady to say the least. Like I saw her fight before I saw her cry, and I gave her this paper that they gave me at the funeral service at the funeral home, and she looked at the paper and lost it. I mean, just bawling, crying, and I'm like, "What's wrong?" And she was like, "He didn't die on this day. and she was just losing it because they had this information wrong. So that let me know at that moment, like if this man was still, affecting the lady that I respected as much as I respected my mother as much, 21 years later, that means that's what I got in me. I got that type of energy in me, and I got to utilize that. So I went back to North Carolina, and a friend of mine named Jerome was like, "Man, you should do comedy." I used to host all the stuff in college for my fraternity and all that, the step shows and the pageants and all that. So he was like, "Try comedy out," and I was like, "Cool." I'll give it a shot. It was a comedy club 30 minutes away in Greensboro, North Carolina. Um, and we went. They had an open mic every first and second Thursday of the month. So I went the first Thursday, just watched a whole bunch of motherfuckers go up there and bomb. So I figured like I can at least do that bad. So I went back the next Thursday, went up and did 4 minutes. And true story, might sound like something that you make up in a fairy tale, but literally when I walked off stage and my feet hit the floor, I said, "This is what I'm supposed to be doing," and I've been doing it ever since that day.
How long did it take though from like you to really blow up and make it from that?
Oh man, years. I started in '08. I didn't get on TV till 2013. So, I had a group that I was a part of that my man Drinkers that performed with me tonight was a part of. Also my man Durham Big Baby Brand B that dude named Burpee who works radio in Charlotte called a Freestyle Funny Comedy Show. And I was MCing at the Comedy Zone first. I was the weekend MC. So I started at the open mic, then I was the weekend MC, and then we got the group together. So we was traveling all around, hoping to get paid for shows, doing, events and banquets and all types of wild stuff, driving around country in 15 passenger vans and really just putting the grind in. So, it wasn't until 2013 that I got on TV, and it wasn't until 2016, 2017 that I actually started making money to where I can live off just this. So it took from 2008 to where I'd say 2016, 2017 to where I started making some real capital off of it. So it took almost 10 years.
So you say the first time you got on TV.
Yeah.
So explain to the people what's the difference between stand-up and skit comedy.
Well, comedy is comedy. It's all subjective. It's all about who your audience is and how they feel about what you're doing. It's like this. It's something I live by called the rule of 10. It's going to be 4 people who love you, 4 people who hate you, and then, or 3 people who love you, 3 people who hate you, and 4 people who not going to know who the fuck you are. So my goal is always to make the 4 people who don't know who I am develop an opinion either one way or the other. But comedy is comedy. So the skit comedy is just as difficult now to make it off as stand-up was in the 90s because you have so many people doing it and the information travels so fast that, it takes just as much skill. So it's not as difficult as stand-up because stand-up there is no stop and start over. You know what I mean? You get on stage, it's just you flat-footed with that microphone, so you got to make that work. That's a different element. But, comedy is comedy. It's all subjective. It's all how people want to receive it.
Right here on this 105.
All right. I just want to ask one more question. Then, what would you suggest, like, for comedians, because you got the experience down and you already made it? So these upcoming comedians, what do they need to know for them to get out there? Do they got to get out the city? Because you just said you was in a van traveling around.
Nah. I would, depending on who you are in your city, a lot of people have misconceptions about their status and where they from. I knew I couldn't be in D.C. when I was doing comedy because I knew too many people. And too many people knew me for being who I was in the city. So I knew that if they saw me and I wasn't in the element of what they thought I was supposed to be, then they would chastise me for it. And it's a difference when it's coming from people who know you. If a stranger tell you you ain't shit, you can brush that off. But if somebody that love you tell you, man, what's going on with you is going to affect you differently because they're not coming from a place of, maliciousness. They're just trying to, they don't see you as the person that they feel like you're supposed to be. So you got to be somewhere where you can walk in the element of your dream or your whatever it is you chasing. If you can be home and deal with the fact that people won't look at you in the failures that you go through or not winning as people see it and be able to deal with that, then you can stay wherever you are. But if you feel like you need to go somewhere, just go somewhere else. You don't necessarily have to go to New York or LA. That dream is deferred now. It's different because the information travels so quickly. Like that phone will make them come find you. So, it's just wherever you can feel comfortable being in a space of not being whatever people think you're supposed to be. I think that that's the best place for you to be because you're going to bump your head a lot in this. You're going to fail. You're going to have some failures. But, I always say don't worry about no. No don't mean don't take no effort. If somebody tell you no, you only got to worry about 2 things. 1, however you feel about whatever you want not happening. And 2, what you going to do. yes requires the energy, and it only takes one yes to take you to another level. So just keep working for the yes. But as long as you can be somewhere where the no's don't make you feel like quitting, then you good.
There y'all have it, man. Straight from Chico himself. Appreciate you for coming
No
out
problem,
doing
man. Thank
this
you
show,
for having
man.
me, Slim. You already know.
All right, man. We out of here, man.
All right, there we go.